Did not put anything down. No, he did not.
Storyteller right there.
We'll start guidance.
Yeah. There's a character.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming today. Thanks for those online and watching from home as well, and those who have tuned up today. Welcome to everybody. We will start with the card here. Me karakia tātou. Thank you very much. Let's get into the apologies. We've got apologies from Luana and Howard. Right, go there. We've got open forums today from the Rākaihautū Information Centre. Can I welcome up Kerry and Victoria up to the front so we can hear all about it, please. See?
Okay, so we've kindly organised, got these ones recorded and printed and that. So we might just quickly read through this. How long will it? I can start reading it. We're pleased to report the information centre located in historic places after our city centre was met with huge success with visitors as well as with local volunteers who started meeting and assisting people from around there. The office opened a week prior to the busy Christmas holiday period. The non-profit community project operated through the Rākaihautū Resource Security Trust and the support of Pātaka City Council, local business, community groups and organisations has quickly become a vital asset for undertakers. The Rākaihautū Information Centre is not a teaching facility. Its role is to provide visitor information and unsuggested for the friendly smile by a local resident who knows the area well. Opening hours are 10 to 4, however, hours may fluctuate based on the availability of volunteers. So at the moment, we've got Sandra Innes has come on board, who is a local retired, she worked in the eyesight originally, and she has stepped up and taken on a bit of a team manager role. And Sonia Warner, who is a born-and-bred local girl, has been contracted by the Trust to deliver 16 hours, 4 days a week, 4 days a week on a Monday, as the office coordinator. So they're an awesome team because they both worked together originally on the old information centre. Her professionalism and oversight are highly valued. And she proposed these following statistics. So from mid-December, which is the opening, and thanks again to Christchurch City Council for their really fast support, and also Steffi, who's been awesome and helping us get set up with computers and Facebook and emails and really got us up to speed. So we're really grateful for that. Total visitors in that time from mid-December to the end of January was 1,510. And at that stage, I think that wasn't 7 days because we didn't have volunteers on board and still just trying to manage that. So that's still maximum. I don't even know, I think maybe 12 rounds, but that's not 7 days a week. So that was, so average daily visitors was 34 in that short time frame. The highest daily visitors in the past of January was 98, the cruise ship in the harbour. Daily numbers have consistently built from opening day. Cruise ship visits showing increased numbers through door. Volunteers is a work in progress for numbers and training, but we can generate very much more clients than now or not. 75% visitors from Australia, UK, Europe, Asia, and USA. 25% from all the passports from New Zealand. High percentage of day visitors. January numbers show holiday visitors in town. Overnight stays 1 to 2 nights. New Zealand travellers use own vehicle. International travellers 70% rental cars, 30% camper vans. Most inquiries are for walking tracks in the township, seeking more relevant information for the longer walks both within town and across the connected. General mix seeking information, activities, tours, or places of interest within it. Well, there is very efficient of receiving a lot of information from staff and volunteers. The office space next to the service centre has proved the perfect location for the volunteer information centre because it is easy to find and centrally located in the heart of the store up the road. In addition, buses and vans drop off passengers on a daily basis at its doorstep. Essential to its success was the appointment of a paid office coordinator. We're fortunate that some seeding funding for this role was made available for a short period through the trust, but we cannot sustain that. We can't a bit of an add-on that one for our funding. And it was made available for a short period. Such a part-time role seems essential, and we now need to seek permanent funding for the position to the Council's Strength and Communities Fund, of which are a KLP, but we already have one application, so we're looking to put on a separate application to help with wages for Sonia. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to working with BP Community Board, Steffi, and Pātaka City Council. And to add on that too, there's also been a lot of feedback from the museum and local businesses that they've noticed people aren't asking them so much for direction for walks. Yeah, one of the girls who's full-time at the museum said they've noticed it. It's hugely noticed that people aren't going in there and asking for information. And two businesses and their inspirations who said that they don't, and they get a lot of cruise ships in, so they just refer them to the information centre.
Yeah, the pharmacies get lots of inquiries as well. Lots.
But it's good to take the pressure off the business. Yeah. And also, the free maps are a real resource. You can some of the map and say, you know, this is where the museum is, and the shop or whatever. You can direct them very, very easily. And I think the one thing I would add is that I know at times with one volunteer at the desk, they can get overwhelmed. And so I think the numbers are actually kind of low because they can't count everybody. Because Nigel's been sitting at the desk. You'll know that. So if you have one of the buses in line and they unload 20 or 30 passengers, they all start asking questions. You can't count and you can't actually ask the question. You get too busy. And I would hope if the trial is proved to be successful, that in the coming year in 2026, we can work with enough volunteers to have two, possibly as a best on really busy days, because you can get overwhelmed. But that's kind of in a foreseeable future. And while you're here, the office is just next door, so please pop in and say hello to Sonia. She's done a remarkable job, and we're really, really lucky to have her as a diehard local who knows all the background about the Peninsula and Akaroa. And also having worked with Sandra, that makes a very, very strong team in terms of supporting the new volunteers coming on board and reassuring them about greeting visitors. And the most important thing is just to welcome people and be friendly to them and do your best to answer whatever questions they might have. It's that face-to-face contact. And the other really interesting thing is that Nelson's doing a very similar program. They have roving volunteers going around asking questions with a little iPad. We actually, in Akaroa, I think, provide a better service, partially because of this fantastic location that the council made available to us. In that it's so easy to find, it's in a very beautifully restored historic building in Akaroa. It covers a range of needs. So we are very, very appreciative about having that office in this building. And also, it just raises the profile of the council and this historic building in Akaroa. Now that the upstairs is active with the offices and the retro refurbished clothing center, I mean, that's really a resource too. I mean, it's busy all the weekend. So it's very rewarding as a local to see this building become vital to the community and very, very active in terms of visitors. I think it's a good use of the space. And also Keith wanted to put in his apologies. He was called out of town today. Otherwise he would be here with us. And also thanks again to Steffi. She's been really, really good. And
awesome to work with, we have to say.
And helping set up the computers in different forms with Sonia. So it's good to have somebody with computer skills and the knowledge, because I personally don't have, I can turn the thing on and off and that's about it. So we just wanted to give you an update and express our appreciation from all the volunteers, because it's got them out of the house. And they come back after, 2 hours or 4 hours or 6 hours, however many hours they might do. Feeling very rewarded because they touched base with a range of people from around the world. And they're energized and their lives, I think, have become more fulfilling. Which was part of the objective of getting people involved in community activities such as this. So we appreciate that.
Sorry, I was just going to add to that while we're here, with the upstairs space, which council again have very, very kindly leased to us, that we've got the space running upstairs, and I think since November last year, we've taken like $16,000, and it's only 3 days. I think it's about 12 hours again a week. So if we get more volunteers, we can up that ante on that. But the other thing too, it's been really, really lovely the feedback, people coming into the building upstairs and just really enjoying the space.
Yeah.
And I think just to see this lovely old girl, up and breathing again is, for sure the team is very impressed with it.
Yeah, otherwise it's locked up all week. And now it's an active focus, not only for the community, but for visitors as well. So I see it as a really positive resource.
We've got a chunk of questions, if anybody has questions for
The number of people interested in the tracks is absolutely amazing. It blows me away. Is that the general feeling right the way through with the tracks? Because a few times I've sat in there and worked in there, and I take your point with 2 people, because I bring along, it's been good for socialising Deb.
Yeah, that's been great to do that.
So it was also for medical reasons as well. So I just get quite excited by it, and the amount of comments and the discussions and the conversations you have with the visitors. You get to learn so much from the other side, what they see and what they feel.
Hopefully we'll get more volunteers. I mean, we're kind of trying to beat the bushes, and it's hard because we're coming to the end of the first trial. But it's given us enough information, and we kind of see what we need to be doing in the future. And we'll have the winter months, depending, the office could be open on weekends, we'll have to wait and see how the council responds, the community board responds, and if there's funding to pay a coordinator. But I think it's something that we've built a foundation that can be built on. And it can certainly be improved in time, but it's kind of a step by step. And starting right at Christmas was really difficult because everyone was so busy. And luckily, so many people kind of grasped the reins of the organization and got it up and running. And we're looking at it.
So what are the challenges that some of the volunteers have found that they've had when people come in? Do some people actually really want to have them do bookings, or are there any curly ones? Where
There's been a wee bit of thought around how much can and can't be done with regard to how much information volunteers can give people.
okay, so you're choosing one place over, being.
No, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But me personally, my place, I would do either was required to meet people's needs if they were looking for something, without being, I'd send them in the right direction. So some are doing that, and some are, probably have different ideas on that.
Different approaches.
Like some of the girls will bring you up any information, which I think is quite helpful.
And I think what we can do over the winter months is develop some lists, like this is the list of hotels and accommodation. This is a list of places you can eat. This is a list of walking tracks and.
Sorry to interrupt, but we've got a new directory coming out.
Yeah,
that information.
And that will resolve a lot of the.
Yeah.
And somebody can say, where can I go have lunch? And you can say, well, these are the outdoor dining facilities and, you can direct them in that manner, but we don't recommend any specific food.
Tara's got the last question for that.
Thank you.
You guys?
It's 10:15 this morning, and we've been having warm fuzzies all day, haven't we? This morning.
Oh,
See the police have been in Victoria, you said it's so great to see this I love it when a plan comes together, right? And this, the whole building's being utilised really, really nicely now. So that's awesome. My question was though, so you've got the service centre, and so you're sort of operating concurrently in a way, right? Service centre's happening. So in terms of the volunteer hours, when volunteers are there, how do they overlap with the service centre hours? Like, are there volunteers in here where there aren't staff here? So
Mondays to Friday.
right. So in fact, there are more volunteer hours here. Like it's open for yeah. That's the
It would
service
be
centre.
nice if they could be.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was sort of.
To bring the service.
thinking.
Yes.
and line,
Yeah.
10 to 4, 10 to 5.
Yeah.
I mean, if we get more volunteers, we actually, during the summer months, we do.
Well, actually, on that too, someone came in the other day while I was down there after 2 o'clock to post mail. And which that actually probably really needs to be pushing that out because he had no idea.
I have got that, yeah,
So
we
it's
are aware.
Things lined up. Yeah.
Yeah, so expecting to increase
That's
hours.
something for our council to consider.
Well, apparently we're.
It's a link- it's a link.
Planning
Yeah.
discussion today, so.
We will, if we could be consistent with the other service centers in the city that are open more hours, I don't see why we should be diminished in terms of the level of service, especially during the summer months when there's so much demand.
It's one of those little micro battles that has to be fought.
Yeah, I don't like to see Akaroa be put or placed in a subservient position in terms of level of service. We pay the same rates.
And I think especially now that actually the service centre taken on the postal, because originally that wasn't the plan, was it? They didn't have the postal
No,
services. No.
That's a big game changer, isn't it? So,
Big game changer.
so it's, yeah.
Okay,
Anyway.
did that answer your question?
It did, but I have many more,
Okay,
yeah, so I
to
like those.
wrap it up now,
Yeah,
so we can move on to our next. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Victoria and Gary.
Thank you, guys.
just walk next door and say hello to Sonia
Lovely.
at some point during the week.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, it's great to get it back, and it's going well.
Well, and we'll wrap it up and come at the end of the trial period and whatever discussion.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, welcome up to the table. Feel free to come on up and introduce yourselves, and we will introduce ourselves and what area we're representing as well, so that you know who we are and what we do. Oh, you want to?
Go actually called Peter Cooper Aho. I am the area commander for the rural Canterbury, so I have the privilege of looking after the people in the communities of Pūranui, Waimakariri, Selwyn and Baxton. Although we tend to share some of the places in so Littleton and Governors Bay and such like, we share the responsibility with the city. It's just about the distances and how we support each other, so the support for Akaroa from the point of view of the policing comes from Selwyn and Rachel's team.
Sure, Morena, thank you for having us today. My name is Rachel Walker. My title is Area Response Manager for Selwyn. What does that mean? When you call 111 and please turn up, that's the team that sit under that role. So we have 5 outstations, including Akaroa, and we cover up to Arthur's Pass in the area, but it's a beautiful part of the country. So yeah, that's a little bit about my role and the staff that I work with. Yeah, so we have Jason and Anita, as you probably already know, that cover here, and when we have busy periods, we see extra staff over.
Julian, you can start with that, yeah, just quickly.
Kathleen Webb, Littleton's my area.
Nigel Harrison, Deputy Chair and Representative for Akaroa and the Bays.
Kia ora, I'm Lynn Leasley and I represent Wairewa.
Asil San, represent Akaroa and the Bear subdivision. I met you a couple of times before. Thank you.
Tyro Fields on the Christchurch City Councillor for explanation. Nice.
And a lot of us are. Everything else.
Full people actually.
I'm Andrea Wild, I'm a community governance manager.
So, yeah.
I'm the speaker.
Hello.
Oh,
She's giving us what she. Well,
So should I set some questions to you?
Yes.
yes, she did. What we thought we might do is, if that helps, is go through some stuff that we're over when you're ready.
We're just going to introduce you that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, yeah. I couldn't see past that.
Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Sticky, Community Development Advisor for Rākaihautū.
Thank you, I'm number 6, I'm going to advise on things.
Oh, we're finished.
Yeah, we're out of time now.
Okay. Yep. What we thought we'd do is just a wee quick state of the nation, and I thought we'd do that from a point of view of what's happening for us nationally, then Canterbury, particularly Rachel will talk about what's happening locally, most interesting thing. Both Rachel and me have been in the police for a long time. Okay, I've been a lot longer. We've seen a lot of change in different sort of cycles of how policing has developed, and over the years, we used to say, and we still don't say, that police tend to centralise, decentralise every 5 to 10 years. That is just a cycle of what all government organisations do, and with different commissioners and different governments and different bits and pieces that govern how we're going to operate. Our operating model sometimes moves across from the community-based in the townships, and every town as much as you can, to the more centralised model of this sort of thing together and forward resources. So we live in a world where we fluctuate between one or the other, and somewhere on that pendulum is where we operate. But that policing model and our value system and what we try to actually do for our community doesn't really change. It's we have an old saying that's not so popular anymore, but we do police by consent. It's still relevant. We only do it well if the communities will allow us to be. We lose the respect of our communities and the job is very much over. So that's why that saying still to use that sort of me and others. So on a national sort of front now, we have a new commissioner who wants us to get back to basic policing. You know, I always said, well, I've got a smile on my face, and I know the commissioner well, so I'm not going off on page here. But when we say get back to the basics, what we used to do, I have a son who's been in the police now for 5 years, and I say to him, it's time to get back to basics, how we did it. And he looks at me dumbfounded, going, I don't know what that means. We were talking 10, 15 years ago, and what we only said the last 5, so how we bring our young staff into what we call back to basics is a wee bit of a challenge, but it really means that we have to think about how we are more value for money than we've ever thought about before as an organisation. We're expensive to run and expensive to maintain. That's just how we get the best bang buck for New Zealanders around what we do. It's fair to say in recent years we've got very much into other people's business with the right intent, a mindset of people who see a problem on a fixed problem. They've seen us in mental health and drugs in areas that we're not necessarily specialists in, and very much into family harm and into homes, which again, there are probably better skill sets in it. Doesn't mean we get out of those completely, so policing will always have a part in ensuring everyone's home and safe. So from a national point of view, that's sort of where we're thinking, is what do we do more of and what do we give back to the people who have been trained and who are able to do it. It won't excuse us when we're rolling in the call, we always can't, but Canterbury-wise, we're in a good space as well. We're a big district, there's 970 staff at Canterbury, spread widely. We have 38 different police stations, so it's a lot of area, and then just the area that I look after, Rachel looked after well, it's a massive piece of distance from my point of view. I cover from the shore of Kaikoura and it's from the 21 motion, so it's a big piece of land. Don't get me wrong, when it's a tough day, I can go to Henry Springs and I can go out for a drive, so it's not all right. And so Canterbury is again going through lots of spaces about how we can deliver service to all our country stations as well as service them through. So that's for me a bit of a natural Bruce to feel about it. What's going to be more interesting for you is what's happening locally. We'll go through that, and I think most of these sessions are more valuable for just questions and so what's what most people are doing. So that's your reads about what's happening.
Sure. So as most of you know, Anita and Jason do an amazing service over here. They work closely with the need community. They've got a few things going on that they've done. Anita's done some community meetings, which she set up last year, and having other agencies involved, tapping more into the rural. And she's hoping to do some more of those this year. And Jason's been working quite closely with some of the schools in terms of some of the more at-risk youth and putting them into various programs. One of them was Blue Light, another one was Cactus that they did. So he's hoping to do more of that this year, as well as their day-to-day functions of road policing, the BAU that we get in terms of attending burglaries and attending family harm and making sure that they are connecting with those pivotal people in the community. So, but yeah, they do an amazing job over here. I'm over here very rarely. They don't get a lot of love from me because they perform so well, which is not the way it should be. But they've got a fantastic wealth of experience between them. So yeah, that's a bit about us. Obviously, we've just had Onuku and Waitangi Day, and it was really down to their relationships that they already had that we were able to springboard up a lot of that. And my counterpart, Anna, he did an amazing job in terms of getting that up and running with alongside Pete. So, it went off relatively smoothly. So, yeah.
There's only one way in and one way out.
There is only one way in.
So that's a good and a bad thing.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Unless you're a fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to us to ask the questions that we put through for Anna?
There's only one question.
There's two questions. One about statistics.
Oh.
And the other one was about the antisocial driving behaviour.
Yeah. Do you want me to? Sure. I have got stats. So I guess I can really talk from an Akaroa point of view. I don't cover the Christchurch side of it, so I don't want to talk outside the store, but Pete might be able to.
That's good, just to give us an idea anyway.
Yeah. Was there anything in particular? Akaroa is like probably it's the least crime out of all of the areas in Canterbury. So, was there any specific stats?
Not really, just a general across the board. Was anything increasing? Is anything decreasing? Is there anything that we need to note as community board members that would be relevant for us?
I wouldn't say that there's anything increasing. I think we are continuing to just tick along. A big difference between 23 and 24 was your decrease in thefts, which had gone from 20 down to 9. Anita and Jason have a pretty good handle on your people that would be potentially committing crime. So, and they're pretty proactive in terms of how they deal with the persons and their families. So that's probably more a reflection of them, I think. But apart from that, your stats are really low in terms of like burglaries and things like that. For example, common assaults, you had 4 in 2023, you had 2 in 2024. So, yeah.
It's an Akaroa, is it?
Yeah, so I'm only showing you Akaroa stats. Yeah.
So for the whole July, the Littleton is certainly a different scenario here, the closest to the population. But again, it's staying very static and it's prime per population. We do 10,000 sort of comparison. It's not leaping up and telling us it's a crime problem. What we do have is an environment where youth offenders are high news, high media attention, and Littleton and Peninsula is no different than that. We have with a qualified list, 25% of our youth in New Zealand are just getting on with life and doing really good things. That really doesn't change. And 5%, or I used to say 1%, and 5% is getting really, really bad. I don't know how to put that, but better language, but they are harder and harder to deal with. And there's a number of reasons for that. For home life, how they do the earthquake scenario still plays out. We're 14 years in a few days, so our 14-year-olds are some of the most feelings in that 5%. So as an example, over the weekend, 5 juvenile offenders were stopped in a stolen car after they had stolen, it was their third in a row that they had stolen. They've also done a number of ram raids and stolen cars through home. Such like we call those individuals. They were aged 2 was 13, 1 was 12, 2 were 11. So you're talking about an age group that's really sad numbers to think 11. But that 11-year-olds been dealt with in the last 2 years. So when I say that 5% is really difficult, they are difficult. And there's no consequences for them that they think are meaningful because of their age. So the justice system doesn't really kick in for a while. So we are catching them when we can. And we're really restricted. You can't chase an 11-year-old in a car around the streets across your chest. They just don't have the same perception of risk that we do. So often we'll see our units all fall out of those sort of things. But when we do safely get them into custody, there's so little that can actually happen for the well, we're still in that process of can we bring this person back into part of society. So there's that, and the Banks Munchie area is no different. We've got some kids like that come out of Christchurch through and so we'll play around with everything. We do what we do, capture we can, put them through the system and go down the frustrating thing for some of the people, now to get them the help that they need. And living role in a car is quite capable of going through a red light and coming sitting out. So it's not something I don't take seriously. So we're not immune from that on Banks Munchie, we're not immune from over here. Don't really get them come this far, but Littleton, particularly in Government Bay. Rachel's a sailing away this morning, cycle, particularly when we get into and what we call antisocial road users, which people call racists after the girls states. They do a bit of a cycle, and it's a plague on all of New Zealand. I read it in Hamilton, Darrell, and Auckland. Everyone's having the same frustrations that we do. It's like a game of no. Back them off. Railing off there. We go to one part of the community where we know they're going to be, we sit there and when we put some resources there, they're not there. So we've got frustration and we've now put a whole lot of people to try and serve that problem, the problem's actually over there. So chasing it around, getting good intelligence from that area, those kind of people is extremely difficult, extremely frustrating. They are the most frustrating group and they seem to be very prevalent. What it is, maybe the post-COVID environment has made people wrong, but it's just me talking about quite many places usually. Yeah, that looks like more willing to take risk. So I don't have to go very far to see burnouts, donut circles, where I live, actually lives everywhere. And it is a real play for us, and we've got significant resources chasing on that countryside. Sometimes we're successful, but most of the time we just trying to find what spot is the best place to be. One of the questions was on that must be a real frustration, because it's frustration for us, it's a frustration that we live here in the night and go. Time we get out and go out and deal with that, you've got about a 1 or 2 minute period of time doing the blind. so we share that frustration. So that question a little bit. Yeah, so just for those from Littleton, pressures in there haven't really changed so much. The earthquake environment did follow a different population and for a while it seems to have settled down. What we're seeing is a little bit of rebuild and a little bit more ownership. The markets seem to all come back. There's more vibrance about Littleton than it used to be and entering the Governor's Bay. So I think it was quite positive for us. We're not really seeing that heavy influence or gangs or culture that makes us worried. Waffle a lot, so this is a question.
Not a question, just a comment. Last program Jason conducted, and those community meetings were really helpful. It was well received by community parents that I had spoken to myself and some students I work with, and in a couple of days I'm going to meet again, and I have seen the change in them during that whole period. So very well done. I think this could be one of the ways to address the anti-social issues that various young children are facing. Could be something similar that put their energy to use somewhere and manage it. I think police are doing a really good job. Yeah, thank you for that.
I'll make sure we pass that on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Again, not so much a question, but it's just on the antisocial road user thing. So acknowledging your comments there, Peter, so appreciate it. I do absolutely understand that it's a whack-a-mole thing. And look, you're constrained by resource and you don't have all the officers you need to do, all the things you need to do, of course. So that's completely understandable. I think probably the thing that that I just want to reflect back for the way that it kind of, and you'll know this, but I'll just say it anyway. But it's just that a lot of the difficulties that residents experience, like just in that from Governor's Bay through to Littleton, let's say, is not so much the people doing sort of the big crime, if you like. It's more, and yeah, burnouts are a problem and all that, but it's more about just the every night, and Kathy, you live on that route, so it's just the relentless every day car, and they won't be necessarily doing burnouts or big groups or whatever, but they will be speeding and with noise at 2 AM relentlessly all day, every day, and the impact of that on the sort of the well-being of those residents in Governor's Bay, Cass Bay, Peninsula Bay, Littleton, it's really so impactful, and that's the thing that, and I don't know what the circuit breaker is, but that's the thing that kind of, if we could resolve that, then that would just be such a game changer. So yeah, like I mean, acknowledging that you can't deal with every gathering and someone's doing burnouts in Motukara or whatever, and that will happen. But it's just more about that, just that relentlessness, and yeah, so don't need to solve that right now, but I just wanted to reflect back the community concerns here rather than the chance, because obviously it's something it's a play. And it's not just New Zealand. I mean, I'm reading a book it's set in Norway at the moment, and they're complaining about boy races and that, and I was like, oh, jeez.
And like Pete said, it is really difficult when, and I can only talk from a Selwyn perspective, you don't know, so it is that real game of whack-a-mole. But I guess what you're saying is that you've got a stretch of road that
with the communities that are very tightly
joined
to that route.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the difference. Acknowledging we can't resolve all of the problems, but it's just about that relentless noise that just.
Our traffic engineers, of course, have looked at it, and unfortunately that's the over-dimensional rounds as well. from Port, so we can't put speed humps on the traffic coming in without realising the trucks have got to run around.
That was going to be my next comment, really, another important part that we certainly own is actually knowledge what the issue is. It's only one part of the solution, and often it's an engineering or an education level that can't be some structures here. That we are aware of it, I know that the thing works in the area, and it's one of their bugbears as well. It's just being in the right place, and as we have to acknowledge when we get called to something else, that some things go, but yeah.
Because it's like a perfect racetrack as well, like, I mean,
Yeah, sure.
you know, it's Friday night, I'm hanging out with the crew, you know, I'm gonna drive out through Hallsville and back up through Pātaka and through Teddington, or I might go over Dyer's Pass or whatever, and I'll just, and beautifully, I can just circle back through Littleton, up over Sumner Road, and rinse and repeat.
Yeah, we do have staff that are dedicated to that kind of activity. That's just moving them around all the time, and making sure they've got a place. So I'm not writing the scenario off in any shape or form, absolutely can do. And we'll pass that through to the troops, and it's just not, it's not going away. Then you take the red 6-9, it's all curve and one around the cars. So we really encourage it, but it's become, and I've had it around the island. It goes again, can I get a picture? Sometimes it's not, but again, we know what that problem is. It's peace of mind and quality of life, so.
There's this guy I know called Phil Major who
He
put his hand up and credit to him.
Yeah, true, but it should grow out of it, I can. He has a small car collection on his own over here. It's, hey, your impact, I don't know what it is, and I may just talk for me again. There seems to be a change in a society, maybe it's an age thing and whatnot, but it just shows that there is less interest in looking or being acknowledged at what you're effectively reaching that. And then it used to be, I want to acknowledge it could be an age thing.
Yeah, and we're also back to social media. Because, and, you know, our technology versus the technology that's out in the world, we lag behind that. So as soon as, you know, they move in groups and packs, as soon as one of them sees one of us, then the word goes out and then they scatter. So it just means that, again, we're behind the 8 ball, because their social media gets out a lot quicker than we do. So I'm not providing that as an excuse or anything, but it's just something that, the things that we have to deal with in terms of trying to get in front of that offending. And then, you know, that's scattered to the 4 winds, and we've got no way of tracking them. So our technology is slowly getting better in terms of being able to manage that side of things, but we're not there yet. And yeah, it is incredibly frustrating when we get a call, we get there, you see remnants, or you talk to the residents and they're like, yeah, there are like 3 cars and a motoring down here, noisy exhaust, but we're already behind 8 ball. So this is why we also encourage community, if we can get a registration, if we can get a description of the driver, it just gives us something to go on. And then if we get those recidivist calls where, oh yeah, it's the same registration all the time, then we can go back and we can talk to the registered owner, and we can, you know, if it's a parent who's registered owner, we can have those conversations. Do you know what your child's doing? If they're not on the appropriate license. I just had similar in Selwyn, where we had one of our youth offenders, mum would let him have the car, and I was like, okay, well, you know, you're technically aiding and abetting, you're letting them going out after restricted hours. And so, yeah, it is about being able to have those conversations. But it's a two-way thing.
Yeah.
We can't act alone. That's why we really need that information from the community about, yeah, it was this registration, this was a description of the car, so we can make sure that the registration and the car match up, because sometimes they put on, you know, steel plates, they'll put on, they'll alter their plates to make it harder for us to find them. If we can get a description of the driver, that helps it narrow it down for us. If you've got CCTV cameras in the area and they're, you know, in the right place at the right time, and and capture that, then that's gold for us as well.
That's really good to know, so we can lead our community on especially those little tips.
Yeah.
So they can contribute and not necessarily feel so helpless as well.
Yeah.
We were running out of time, but we've got Nigel and myself, we've got another couple of questions before we might be holding you up as well, but if that's okay, we've got another couple of questions, so Nigel.
Yeah, well, thank you very, very much, and literally Littleton for now. The changes to the road use with the speeds coming up. I've noticed a lot of things. I think there's more and more camper vans coming over here. Some of them are pulling in over in front on bends on the wrong side of the road, parking on the wrong side of the road. Is there any trend you've noticed going, and maybe what may be happening coming forward with those road changes?
Yeah, two parts there.
Yeah, really.
The tourist boom is coming back in droves. And over the years, we've done a lot of work at point of contact. So when actually tourists are hiring those vehicles, it's whole lot. If you're kind of car in New Zealand, you'll see a big stack of safety and stuff like that. That came from a conversation where I was approaching agencies. To be fair, though, there's still very little tests and balances about your skill set driving a big vehicle like that on New Zealand roads for international tourists. So often set them off to fail. Lead on those vehicles, not really realising that it's only 90 k's, so they have room from where they are, but that's so 90 k's, a whole lot of concentration, difficult routes. So to get that, and we're all over the place. We do a lot of enforcement with all over New Zealand with their highway teams. So down the Queenstown, over here, up to the end of all of that tourist spots, we have a lot of interaction. It's we have a code that's called bad driving behaviour, basically. And it would be the #1 for service in New Zealand. It's what that is, and a lot of it we follow that tourist looking van. And flip that over, those who contribute to our crashes and deaths in New Zealand, 91% is tourists, about 9%. I think the numbers quite like 9% of it. Doesn't say that I contribute to the behaviour and frustration levels. That's roads in New Zealand. The speed thing, animally against raising the speed limits, there's crashes. We've just driven it again, but we know the frustration on the speed limit. We both go, isn't it nice to know that car coming forward and doing that roughly that speed, we know the speed, the survival rate is so much higher. We don't set them, we'll enforce them. If no one decides we want to go faster, I hope we are wrong. When we are, we'll see more crashes and deaths.
That's very encouraging to hear that. Can I just comment on that quickly? Is that when you say we, you mean the New Zealand Police? Yeah, it's an organisation, so it's really good. I appreciate you saying that.
So that was kind of leads on to my question: is this phase between the speed changing, what it is at 80 between Pātaka and Little River, and going up to 100, has there been an increase of speed noted by your officers? Has there been an increase of people going, oh, well, it's got to be 100 soon anyway, I've got to get a ticket, I'll just say,
That I'm hearing, I have a lot of highway patrol that will call into Wollaston, which is where I'm based.
Right.
So I'm often talking to them about what they're seeing on the rural roads, and I'm not, that's not something that they've seen or heard at this point. So yeah, let's hope that people don't think that way, but maybe closer to the time, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it's the locals that get, why the speed should be the speed, because we've all been in those situations where you've had those near misses and been like, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. It's an interesting one. I know as a community board, we're working with Peninsula local MP to try, and get some pullover spots in between those areas for slow vehicles. We're working on that, and hopefully we'll get that whenever we can. But that seems to be a good something we can do as far as safety, and that the community board can push forward is to figure out, how can we make sure those slow drivers are not exasperating anything. Yeah, we've got plenty of places that are obvious to pull over, So I don't know whether there's good spots that we should be looking at for everybody, but that's something that we can look at later.
It's the educational road, you can enjoy that as a board, it's lucky ride. The tourists you want to enjoy it.
Yes.
This is someone who's got something.
Yeah.
We've had lots of conversation, I have really through the media, unfortunately, as well, but the royalty of changing the speed limits. But I'd like to see them stay where they are, but we'll go with what we go with. The only thing that really concerns us, we go back up to 100, then
150.
and in the past, I hear now on our politicians who are really into that, bring back on for economic reasons. Every time thing as lightly as we can. But that's the best idea is, look, that still just have to enforce it hard. We used to do that and make a difference in what's different now. And we think it's safer. We've taken nothing to the road, we re-engineered them, they're exactly the same. We can show statistics that it save lives and call up for families. But that's what it is. We carry on and do what it's been what it is, what we're for.
Thank you, but a huge big thank you, I think, from all us and back communities for what you're doing, please pass it on to the team as well, love their work. Things and everything that they do, and the stuff that goes unnoticed, you know, what they do behind the scenes, but that is still so important for day-to-day work and even for things work in that community. So,
Absolutely, more than happy to pass it on.
that would be great, thank you, and thank you for your time today too. Appreciate it.
And election year, if I think for someone in the room, so.
Ah,
Oh, yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Barely got to October, but who's counting?
The mayor's already started.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a big opportunity, big look, particularly where all our doors are open, it's things that goes, it's Rachel's area for main responsibilities, but you've got two really good crops here. Shining lights, so that's why you see they have to be here often.
I should be here more often because they are doing such a good.
Yeah, it's good when you got a nice audience, isn't it? Much better with a nice audience.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Workshop, draft and plan. I've got Andrea and Liz, and I talked to us about that before. Yes, I think it's a wonderful idea. Let's do a 5-minute break.
Okay, board meetings today, we're going to workshop to get our annual plans submission ready for council. It will be coming out later this week, the annual draft annual plan for public consultation. So this was the earliest opportunity I could get the board together. I would take the documents I sent you earlier in the week about all the program renewals as read. I wondered if there was any comments about those before the board plan list of items that we've collected over the year. Yes.
Yep, I just have a question, I mean, not really a question, more of a comment. Obviously around the toilet renewals, that's toilets, that's Peninsula toilets, something that we're always working on as good hosts. And yeah, concerned about the budget, the plan works for the renewals for our toilets there. So it's for year 27, gone down less than half. And I'd imagine that to keep our renewals going, considering where they are at the moment, a lot of them, we would need a lot more than that. So just for the team to know that.
It could be, as I said, this annual plan, you really can't put new money, ask for new money in an annual plan, but you can ask council to have consideration in the next long-term plan to increase the funding for public toilets.
Yeah. And it can also be around reprioritising that within the existing budget as well.
Yes, well, at the moment, as you saw the order, per our reserve toilet needs to be moved, it's right next to a stream. And now that we've done 177 per our avenue, we have a brief, information session coming on board shortly about foreshore and per our. Yeah. Tikau Bay toilet has been put there because it needs earthquake strengthening and the septic tank is right on the foreshore for that toilet. So we need to get that moved. French Farm toilet strength and Stanbury Reserve, you'll remember, some will be remember Mr. Robertson coming to talk to us about what we also call Wainui toilets.
Yes.
So the same toilets
Yeah.
as Stanbury Reserve. So they're at least number 4 on their list.
Do they mention one toilets and the changing room, which is a wee bit further back?
Only
That
the
they're
toilets.
separate?
Only the toilets.
Okay.
It's present time.
May I ask a question? I'm not sure. What.
Yes.
It's just around Stanbury. Given the community feedback has probably been the strongest on that particular facility. I understand absolutely better was going to be top, but I'm surprised to see that that's 4th on the list.
In terms of priority. So
why would that be?
All I was told by the person who looks after our things is because Tikau Bay is becoming a septic right on the foreshore.
Right.
So it's sort of what?
Probably some legislation around that as well, I'd imagine.
Yes, probably.
Although, the timing, but just looking at the, it looks like they're all going to be pretty much done within the next 2 years though, right?
That's
Is that
correct.
So,
In that money that's above.
so that's kind of useful.
Yeah, as long as it stays
25,
there,
27. And if per hour's not quite ready, I'll just move.
It's not counting any movements back towards the one is there.
No. But we're thinking of applying to the tourism infrastructure fund
Okay.
for
Yeah.
Burton Street and car park.
And given, the winery community, they have asked for both toilets and the changing rooms. They are really in bad condition. And I have shared pictures of those facilities with the board. Is it possible to, if we are not getting the changing rooms here, to include that in our funding from tourism infrastructure fund?
Can you remind me of related to the buildings?
Yeah, there are different buildings. One is for water and toilets are we will Yeah.
Because
That would be quite a hard push, wouldn't it, because the changing rooms are not a standard like infrastructure kind of.
It is it's a historic infrastructure and it is used mainly by boaters. They are tourists, domestic tourists. And it's quite a popular beach winery.
I will find out more information about
Yeah.
that change in use. I think the issue with the toilets, as one board member has highlighted, there's not a lot of money. Also, the toilets, a lot of them are needing strengthening to come up to earthquake standard.
Yeah.
And these are the 4 that have come to the top.
Just coming back to that, infrastructure funding from the government, I think should we but not be really pushing very hard for that lobbying to happen from council, because particularly I think my observation working in the information centre here, the amount of people wanting to use the tracks and the fact that we had someone break an ankle on Stanley Park when there is a plan in place, a ready to go plan for a boardwalk, boom, if that can be funded, because it's right in the heart of Akaraa and it's now a dangerous park and it could possibly be shut down. You've got beautiful steps there, you can think, just, I'm using that as an example because I think that in my head was a very good example of some way of getting some of that money done.
On the list for the tourism.
Yeah, no, that's good.
And the council will indicate,
But do
they
we,
know it's shovel ready, so.
it's a shovel ready program.
It needs to be a shovel ready program with the tourism infrastructure.
That's really going on, so that's standing up.
Yeah. However, perhaps it is something that the board want to highlight in the submission that the Stanbury Park. It's up to the board to decide whether they want Stanbury.
There's a beautiful boardwalk
Yes.
drawing there, I would like to see it.
Okay, so yes, I'm thinking, yes, what I'm hearing also is that we need to be very focused. I'd love to say yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
We need to be really focused. So I don't know what part of whether we just do a bit of brainstorming and then go right. What is our priorities? Like we often do at the end and go, is this more important than this? More important than that?
That's what I thought we were going to do
Right.
today.
Okay.
I just wanted
Down to those key priorities.
Can I just-
Can be segmented for long-term plan or tourism infrastructure or other things.
Yeah.
But it really-
It's really
Efficient.
paramount, the safety on tracks and the use of those tracks is huge for tourism. Also, another one I want to throw into the ring is the community resilience planning. There has been a plan done for Akaraa that is absolutely exceptional. And there's money put aside for that, and I think maybe that we should be talking about that.
Yeah.
But that plan is amazing. I was
Yeah.
gobsmacked.
We're going to be talking about that.
Yeah,
it is,
put it out there. They need funding.
Liz, do you want us to get back to the
Yes.
documents?
Well, we've been to
Covering it,
minutes.
yep.
Yes. I'll just ask about that the reports have been read. The marine structures, is there any particular one that you wanted in the marine structures and seawall program?
Just a question around the colours there.
What?
So it's got colours in the years. Is that saying, yes, we've got funding out
That's
there?
when the program is expected to be done.
Okay. Completed? Done.
I'll try to be completed.
I'm really pleased to see the Port Levy cohort here. I mean, all of them, really pleased to see all of them, but.
As you can see in the notes, under Port Levy, for example, it's detailed design and tendering is happening in the next financial year, and then it will be constructed in 2026. With marine structures, I've been talking to the project manager who looks after marine structures and wanted me to highlight to the board that most of the marine structures are all the same age. And they are roughly around the same age within 10 years. The other issue with marine structures is you can pull the deck off, but once you go down to the piles, you don't know what's happened in the sea environment with the piles. So, staff in the next long-term plan are going to look at increasing the funding for marine structures. However, I think the board could start now. I think it's in the board plan about marine structures.
Okay.
You could advocate to the council. We will be looking in the next long-term plan for additional funding to have our marine structures.
That's very interesting.
Considered, because some of them are used for resilience access, like.
Lovely. Lovely. Dare I say Acker Road could be that?
Ekaroa,
If you look-
yes,
Look at 5-4 Road.
although you'll have a new,
Son?
you'll have a new walk.
Well, that's right, that's a very important that goes ahead as planned.
I
Yeah.
have a question. So about Naval Point, so the finger jetty that's mentioned here, I think I know which, but that probably refers to the kind of existing stuff that goes down.
That's the existing stuff that goes out.
Yeah. But also where there's been talk about creating another jumping platform for people.
Down at Naval Point,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And so that doesn't come under here at all?
No,
That's a project that's already, I was going in here, that's been funded.
and it's, the jumping is not in the structure. But what you jump off isn't.
So what you jump off, that's right. Yeah.
Kids jumping off the roof of the, on the.
Oh my
today.
gosh.
I was like, oof. Next level.
Did you never do that? To jump off the- And it rained.
Yeah.
And of course, the other thing was the retaining wall works.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of time.
Retaining walls, yes. Yes. Anybody got any questions about that?
There was this in the ocean, is that the retaining wall going to Onavi Peninsula, or is it the one before?
Which.
Do you know that retaining wall in the ocean? So, because I know the area where they are,
Is that Holmes Bay Road, is that? Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, so that goes off the main highway and around to the dump station in the ocean.
I'll have to ask about that. Listen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it
some
only says
areas,
the lane, it doesn't say where they are, does it?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I know it's that road, is that the one?
yes, yeah.
Oh, is that
So
the,
that is quite a long stretch of road and
it's quite a lot of money because.
Yes,
So it
yes.
must be a very big.
It was
lot.
replacing the dump, wasn't it?
yeah, so
Want me
the,
to follow that up?
yes, please, because there are some areas could be improved and some areas, I'm not sure where they are going to
Just
go.
double check. all
You
the
want
right
to
places.
briefing on it, but don't we?
Yeah, because that whole area on a high tide, it's amazing drive if you go there, but it's really close. And you don't know which wall they are working. Some areas are really low and some areas the wall needs to, in some area it needs to be raised up.
So specifically what part of that road, is that
Yeah.
what you wanted?
Yes,
However, this is impacting, I know that's further information you're wanting, but is there something in the submission that you're wanting about this?
Well, so for us to make a decision on what the priorities are, we probably should have that information.
Yeah.
yeah, so we don't know, given the use of Onavi Peninsula, that itself is quite not accessible throughout. You cannot go on high tide there. But that is a tourist loop. And it's a very tight area. So the more information we know, then we might be able to ask some questions.
Yeah, is it a priority? It's a question for me. But then that might have been part of that dump removal.
That may be part of the.
Yeah. Yes. But that is considerable.
Yes, can we move on to your wonderful big list? I'm not going line by line.
I guess just to note that first one, can we talk about that then, Drew? Is that okay? That first one, community resilience funding.
Yep, so there is funding allocated, so as far as I understand from staff advice, it's no need for the board to apply for additional funding. there is enough in the existing budget to cover.
We can all speak to that.
Sorry?
The resilience plan for the Macaroni Bay
Yes, yeah.
is got they're looking for over $200,000.
So
So that
it's-
may require
we will-
government
Is
money.
that capital
So-
funding that we're
They're looking for capital, they want to have some trailers with generators on them, they want walkie-talkies, and the
I will-
plan is incredible.
So I will speak to that. So the idea behind is to, in case if the ground the base got cut off from Christchurch, which often happens in case of a major disaster like an earthquake, Christchurch civil defense won't be able to come here because they have the disasters to look after themselves. So there are various items that came up through the stakeholder consultation. And communication was the first, being able to communicate. And we were talking about communication within the communities in Accra and with the outer base and with the Christchurch City Council and civil defense. So that includes a radio system developed, walkie-talkies, and generator was one of the main one, because the power to operate, if we have a community up, we don't have a structure to do that. We have got a civil defense has identified Gaiety as a backup, but it needs rewiring done for that to be able to serve as a hub. And the second place that was identified was Accra Area School. But again, that we have got facilities, but they are not fit for disaster handling, especially if we have to cater for like a couple of hundred tourists stranded in Accra. So we don't have. So at the moment, we are costing out that what are the minimum facilities that we need to serve for Accra, the base, and how we could provide the basic needs. And that's what Nigel was referring to, but it yet to be finalized that.
Is the group is working with their CDU.
Yes, that's right.
And Steffi, so they have the access to where funding can be
Yes.
obtained. I don't think council would be open to new money right
Yes.
now. But it's
Yeah,
a long-term
totally.
plan thing.
Yeah, so that's why
So
the
we want
group
to get-
made a submission last year for annual plan. So there is a,
So there's enough what they're saying is enough funding there for the general items that groups would be requiring for all of the emergencies, 19 or 20 emergency hubs now set up across the peninsula. And they're all requiring equipment and things like that. And then we have enough money to deal with that for this coming financial year.
Yeah.
For larger items like that,
Yes.
they need to be working with our civil defence team, with our facilities team, linking in with Onuku around use of the Mariah, possibly. There's lots of work that Stephanie
Yeah.
could do with the group
Yeah.
to try and find ways around that in the interim and then look at.
yes, that's what the idea is, yeah. So to start with the basic and then we go for bigger items.
Yeah.
Like trailers and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Linking in with the emergency services.
I would suggest the board be very focused about what they ask for this year to go into the long-term plan, because you've still got another opportunity next year for another long-term plan. It's a measure, so
So.
we don't want to be all we want.
Yes,
Yeah, we plan as well.
Yeah, and what the board plan actually has identified as our priorities.
Yes.
Now, we are going line by line, guys.
Yes.
The sports tours,
Yep.
they have been recommended to go to the Capital Endowment Fund for the money.
Yep.
So that's
They are.
progressing, I believe.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Now, Allendale Hall, you can see under our background, because this is a a general catch-all, this spreadsheet, you know, when I hear bits and pieces, I put it in or find out bits and pieces. The hall has been short-term repaired, but what are we going to do in the long term for this hall?
And I
Yes.
think the long term would be a long-term plan thing rather than annual plan.
That's right.
I think we need the hall to be open and the groups to be using it to then identify if there are any ongoing issues. And long term, you'll probably, it might not even be that exact facility, it might be that there's a facility needed in that area, and it might be a new facility or something. But long-term planning, so basically starting to do succession planning for when I'll go forward eventually. It's no longer useful. But
Acknowledging
we're
the
hoping
need.
to get the next 10 years.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a priority right now, you know, because it will be over.
Yeah, I'm happy with the wording, yeah.
The other one that Esa also brought up in an email to me is Beach Road. We do have a memo coming to the board, and we're hoping it would be ready for today. But it's not about how, there's three options that they've come up with for access to Beach Road.
Yeah.
To the lighthouse that they want to run past the board, but that option, that memo wasn't ready for today, I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you.
Why not?
So, is there any
Hello.
other one out of our list? We don't need to go.
Yeah, well, can we just take just a couple of minutes to have West words and double check that there is nothing that you have questions about here or discussions around whether this is actually a priority, whether there's another option. I mean, there's been a lot of work done already, so wherever the funding can be used for, it has been, these are the ones that we need to work hard on to make sure they're in our annual plan so that we can get the funding.
Just a note, please, at near the bottom, Linda was very proactive and got information from the reserve committees for us as well about what their aims and what they.
Yeah, good, I can see the standing part.
And as you can see, we're working through it slowly, Steve.
About Across Service Center, would be,
What line is that?
so that is on, under Across Service Center on page 4.
What row number, if you, oh, you won't know. row number.
So 1, 2,
Page 4.
3.
Well, I haven't got page 4.
Oh, sorry.
I've got the main spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Is it service centre?
Yes.
Across service centre?
Service centre,
Yes,
hours.
Service Center, yeah, hours.
I don't know if that's that relevant.
That you can apply, you can highlight it in your annual plan.
It's,
However, I know there's been 1 or 2 cases of people wanting to post letters after 2 o'clock.
multiple actually, yeah,
Pardon?
more than 2.
Well, I've only heard of 2 instances, personally. We haven't heard from the community themselves about increasing the service centre hours. I know we've had new research.
This
And
morning,
we heard from, yes, we heard from
Yeah.
Victoria this morning.
And I can say from, I mean, I was in there personally over the 3 days. I had quite a few people come in.
yeah, so there is a really significant need that is identified.
So how many hours would you want to increase the hour?
What are the current hours?
So 10 people.
It's the service centre has at Littleton and 10 to 2 as
Yes.
well. So you need to have a good case as to why it should be
Yeah, don't
longer
wanna
than
change.
Littleton.
Um, So why not match it to Littleton, Little River? You know, they match, they open at 8:30, Ken said in our meeting last time, 8:30 to 4:30. They open.
And some because it's post centre.
They look after the library too.
They look after the library.
And they look after both post and service center.
The information centre in the river isn't in the service centre.
Yeah,
So
It's in the craft station.
our closest post office service center is Little River. Someone has to
It's a
do.
service centre, but not an information centre.
And
there is
post-
postal facilities at the
Postal
moment,
facility.
doesn't get passed on very well.
Yeah, so their service, they are not reliable either.
I'm sure they do
Yeah.
information giving, but you know what I mean, the
Yeah.
official tourist information centre is in the craft. centre, that's the one that it's been receiving the funding through stretch and the community fund. And it only opens during the summertime.
So why can't we increase service hours here because there is not enough need?
I think we probably have to request some statistics from our customer services about how much service centres are used and whether they, if they can see that there's a case for extending the business hours.
So Nigel and myself, Nigel, in the information center, you hear the need, I hear the need.
Well, there have been people coming in wanting a place, but a lot of those are people visitors. I think the locals know what the hours are.
Yeah, so it's the visitors.
It's a visit, and maybe some of the service. I think, well, one of them was actually, I think, a public holiday or something, you know, so it's, I think you need to understand that data really well. Yeah, I think.
So we'll request the data. However, we may not have it back in time for us to, because
Okay, so
March.
But we have an opportunity next year.
Okay.
So maybe
we could identify instead of just mentioning, just a bit of explanation. That then there is a need that we have heard from the community and tourists actually alike. And majority of the people who live in Accra, youngster, they are associated with tourism industry, they work with tourists. And this facility serves quite a lot of tourists, as we have heard.
Remember, it's ratepayers.
As well. 1,500 in just 1 month, they were not even prepared, that is a good number. We are looking at, that's a data in itself.
That's for the information.
Yeah, so the number of people who come there, they also go there. So basically, that's what they were doing in the past.
We'd have to look at the data as a moment,
So
until I see the actual data of customer services.
yeah, so the first.
Also, if you want to, because that's more money, so what's doing, take out the plan to compensate for a higher level of service.
Juggling the budget, isn't it?
But should we assess the need first?
Yeah.
So
I think signal that
There is a need, perhaps there could be some
how much
study.
is the need? So where, what time of day, times of the week?
We can ask our customer
Could be.
service for that, but they have to set that up because at the moment they only know the need by the transactions they do. That doesn't account for customers coming in and saying, oh, how much would a stamp be to post a letter? And then they don't do any transaction out, they go again. So they don't record that as a transaction.
Yes, exactly.
So, we'd have to ask customer services to set up a system about the numbers that are coming in, inquiries as well as transactions, to see if there is a need to increase the level of service for that process.
Yeah, so probably add an item that, so what we just discussed, that there might be a possibility of need to increase the hours in the future, so we are planning for it.
We can signal that you're
Yeah.
interested in receiving more information in the future.
Yeah, and then there is acknowledgement that there is a need that was identified.
I wouldn't put it in the in submission, I'd actually put it in the monthly
PowerPoint
to council.
Yeah.
True.
Because it's worth noting that there are some things, if I may,
Yes.
that can't quite be quantified, because what we've seen today is that, once we've got the postals, there's all this kind of this serendipitousness sort of happening that it's sort of feeding on itself. So the building is actually becoming a community hub because of just the way that it's sort of all the things are just sort of synergizing together.
Council may look at it that it will cost us to increase the number of hours, but what we see, this morning, they heard, this many number they can, but upstairs, $16,000 revenue, opening 3 days, so there is a lot of revenue could be generated for the council.
Well, this goes back to
the trust.
So it will generate activity, economic activity.
They don't need the service centre to operate upstairs.
No, so
There's actually just about halfway through the time already, so.
So Then might mention it in their monthly report to council. I like that we're going to get some more data about, as you see, the links to the information's integrating.
Yes.
yeah, and then just acknowledge it here, that will, yeah. We will. Okay, agent at home.
Two of the other things is the pitch and bay hall and the port leading hall.
What are our thoughts about that, people,
That's a long
because
time,
there's
isn't
no
it?
earthquake strict plan that's required there. And obviously a lot of forward planning with that. More thoughts there.
So can I just clarify, is that, so that's in the facilities management budget already? And it's, you're looking at moving it forward, or it's not in there at all, there's no?
From my memory, I don't think it is. I don't think there's anything assessed about what that cost might be.
Well, I think Port Levy has been, because it was in your audit, your facilities audit.
That's right, it was.
But was it full?
I don't think the full thing was actually about the toilets. However, I've just,
Didn't fall down on the last one.
we've just mentioned it there because it's been brought up at the board table.
So it's mentioned in the annual plan, but how does that relate when it has to happen 2031?
That's right.
This is also for long-term stuff as well.
Yeah.
So it just depends when the board wants to actually talk to the council about it.
Yeah. About Donald Street, what are we asking here? That is the last,
You've jumped ahead.
sorry,
Donald Street's quite a way down, isn't it?
yeah. Oh,
19th
I
of
did.
February.
Yes.
Yes, I'm just thinking that perhaps we might need to do some more questions around what we need to know to make a decision around those two rules. So potentially, we might just do some, make a note, investigate what we need for a long-term plan. If everybody's okay with that?
Yeah, I think I'm just looking at one of ASIS for the sports we've got in. Surely that funding,
No, it was
sorry.
stuck on Port
You
Levy.
jumped
Yeah.
in, we're down at Donald Street,
I
now
thought
we're
we
back to
were
hot
doing-
springs. So now, Nigel's brought us to the youth and multicultural comments that ASIF emailed to us earlier.
That funding is not in the long-term plan now, is it? So would that be another example of, so what are the options of funding from outside of the long-term plan, or? You know where I'm coming from, or is it?
Lobby in the annual plan for the long-term plan. You never know. Given this election year, you know what I have spoken to Tyler, myself. And there is a willingness at the council table, and they ask for a project. All board has to do is like, this is the project. So could possibly be included, included in our list, and it might go ahead with it. So it's one of those opportunities that we don't go to the council and then they may say, okay, we'll put it in the list and maybe in the long-term plan. But in this case, they have asked for a project and there's a need identified and spoken. Personally, I have to Tyler a number of times and a couple of councillors. And there is a need and there's a willingness at the council table.
And is this for
So who's that
brand
money
new
from?
facility?
Yeah, no. So He asked, it could be a brand new facility or it could be an upgrade to an existing facility. So these notes that I shared with all of you came around a particular facility that is underutilized in Accra.
Because Steffi would probably
Steffi.
work with the group to look for a variety
so-
of funding, not just asking council, looking at.
Yes,
funds as
yes,
well.
so,
That they need to build a
So
funding
it-
proposal and then have feasibility study done.
So- this particularly is around the facility that council owns at the moment. Going forward, could make in any shape. But if we hint in our plan that there is, annual plan, that there is a need and support and around this table, then it possibly be included going forward with other extended, stakeholders, external funding included in the annual plan,
So-
the long-term plan.
So that discussion you've had with councillors, is Tyrone, are you aware of this, what this project is that they said could be by these other councillors?
He was there, Tyler, you remember last year,
Yeah, sorry.
that he gave a presentation, yeah, he is aware of it. Yeah,
But, we haven't received any information, only the little bit that you sent us, but we don't know about the other conversations
mhm.
happening.
Yeah, so that is basically just, put the ideas together in the document.
Key thing for this is that it needs, got to focus on your priorities and relate them ideally to the community board plan that you've already signaled for long-term plan.
Yes,
And they need to be, any priority needs to be supported by all of the board.
Yep.
So, and you really need to try and hone them to like, few key things that you really want. And if it's new money, what would you take out to be able to do that? What are you prepared to sacrifice?
so let me just ask bluntly, what you have read and what information I have shared, is there any support for that idea, or it just council is wasting time or I'm wasting time?
I don't think there's any problem with supporting the idea. I think the annual plan is about just confirming the budget.
It is.
Yeah, but, and if you do this here, what is it gonna cost and where's that money gonna come from?
And there's no work
Yeah.
been done yet in
No
terms of
work.
how much it's likely to cost. You can't say, oh, it's gonna be 4 million and we need to take that from this. You
No,
need that feasibility work. So supporting the idea.
Yeah, so these things take time, so there's support on the table, acknowledging that in the board submission, in the annual plan, that's all it takes, so that next year or the following year, whichever board sits, then they will take the idea further.
This, the youth and multicultural, is there a part in the board plan where you see it slipping in, in one of the
Oh, yeah.
priorities of the board plan?
Yeah, I can do that down the line, when we have our 6 monthly. Yeah, it takes a lot of boxes, some of the strategies, it addresses directly the council strategies. I have highlighted in that list.
I feel more comfortable having an actual plan, so if you work with your community, work with the CDA, and then great idea, but I need a little bit more detail about what that looks like, what that means, and then maybe we'll, look at that next term, the LTP. Yeah.
You don't know, we don't know how it will look until we do the homework, so this discussion is acknowledging that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm asking, it may not happen, it may happen. But there is the ideas came from the community. Steffi is coming on tomorrow, we are meeting some of the students, they are the new students. The students I spoke to last year, they are not there anymore. So we might get some new ideas. So acknowledging it here shows at the council level that the need for that particular item to be included in the long-term plan. Yeah.
Excuse me.
What do you think? Ida?
It's also got we've already got tennis courts, which was one of yours on the list.
Yeah,
Ready to, we're working through that.
yeah, so that, it started and in 2 years' time, we made a good progress in that. So
Yeah.
it complements this project and there are multiple other projects. It becomes a hub of social economic activity in the area.
You're gonna need to.
Yes.
Prioritize for this.
Yeah, and
Yeah, pros for this.
yeah, not a lot, guys, but right, you
Yeah.
to start writing the submission.
Okay, so what do you need from us now, Liz?
What do you
Not
need?
really a lot.
What do you need from us again, sorry?
Well, we need to really think about, I've got the toilet renewals that you want to look at funding and increasing, and you're asking me to find out more information about Stanbury changing rooms.
Yeah.
So, I can't answer, I'm sorry, changing sheet. Then you've asked me about a retaining wall and,
Or no,
no.
yeah,
No,
that
I know,
road,
yeah,
which wall it is and that. I've
Yeah.
also got, we talked about the community resilience, the infrastructure, but we've got the team working with that group, staff working with that group. Service centre, we're going to ask
Yeah.
customer services, the data.
Yeah.
for this
Yeah.
thing. So that's going to be highlighted in the monthly presentation
Yeah.
to council. You need more information on the Port Levy and Pitchen Bay halls.
Yeah.
About the earthquake strengthening. And then we started about the building.
Can I ask a question around Coronation Library? It's got the funding and everything ready to go, and I just want to signal to council that it's still a priority of the board, that everybody think that that's okay to do.
is it on the list? Oh,
No, it's not on this list, but it is something that we've talked about.
It's
It's already
in-
right.
It's
Cool.
It's not on the list because it's
Yes.
already in motion.
But
It's just.
That's right.
Like a-
It's like wolf
Sounds good.
discussion, it's gone.
Yeah.
The wolf discussion, it's gone, hasn't it? So that's done. So we don't need to highlight that. No, do we? We don't.
No, it's all, that money, they're in progress now.
The Middleton reserves. So did we ask for some extra money for reserves? Is that kind of automatically or are we asking now?
No,
to-
we've got the money in the park, regional parks from last year to support the
Mhm.
reserve committees, you
Yeah.
asked for it.
That's right.
And it was confirmed. Some of the extra money, some of the reserves has not been confirmed. I agree, don't I, Linda?
Yes, they, it's sort of been
Hopefully, yeah.
They're not funded.
Yeah, I think anything to do with reserves and volunteers and the work they do should, I think, is a priority.
Yeah.
But,
We have asked about the Bonds Bay Hall upgrades and the team leader there has advised that they will consider it when they discuss their work programs.
You know, what work they were doing, because they did the painting work, they did the floor. You know, the exact details, what work.
And
they're
the
doing?
spreadsheet, all I've got is acoustic panels and ceilings. This is Lamonge.
Yeah, you said Le Mans,
3 ceiling mounted swing fans, they want like
Okay.
upgrade and toilet upgrade.
yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
destination management plan implementation stuff, yeah.
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 Just to keep that implementation plan moving ahead, if everybody thinks that's
Yep.
I
going in
think
the right direction.
it has to be mentioned, it has to be, you know, there's also government funding money out of it. Destined to hopefully get out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Bringing more Aussies here.
Well, then you're asking then for priorities, but it's, then we're talking about, these are the questions we have.
Which are prioritization.
Yeah, so,
It's just the weeks that I was going on.
I know, so are we trying to come up with priorities or are we raising
We have
issues?
priorities out of the community board plan.
Okay,
That's the priorities we're talking about.
right. Would that include like things like the Littleton Museum, which isn't really, I thought that was more a recent thing, really.
It's not their
Yeah.
priorities.
It's
Yeah.
not, because,
Yeah, so that's why it is not, but it is in this list, but not in the list.
The board.
I just think
They don't
about
really-
something like that, $14 million.
Yeah.
You would have to be able to identify $14 million of the savings that are currently on
Yeah.
the programme to be able to support, so it's finding a way to support the group and what they're doing, without having to rejig everything in an annual plans, which is quite difficult.
Be a difficult environment, so as they acknowledge themselves, it's a very difficult environment to.
Can I just add some, oh, sorry.
I thought the museum did make a submission to council and we supported it, and the council supported.
Yeah,
Please.
I think so too. I just really trying to understand the process, what we're doing here.
However, you did resolve that you were talking about the museum in your 2024 drafting plan submissions. It's likely to see them all in your spreadsheet.
Can I just add some extra context here? So, and probably to help Gillian as well. So, within the long-term plan deliberations, staff were tasked with going away and looking at the museum to come up with a funding strategy. I've been reasonably aggressive in the early, like we're going into the draft annual plan around the museum and made a number of requests, one for a $1 million grant from the Capital Endowment Fund. So that's kind of been pushed back a little bit, but I'll probably return to that in the coming months. Two, to have up to $5 million allocated in the years. So we've got the annual, going through the annual plan, so to have $2 million and $3 million in the following 2 years after that. That was kind of on the edge in terms of being ruled out of order or not for this annual plan, but staff have agreed to go away and come back with some information, you know, and some analysis there. And the other thing is I asked for the funding the Littleton Museum to be included in the draft annual plan consultation documents. That was ruled out as well. But what I'm signalling is a change of tack to try and kind of just, there's a bit chicken and egg with the museum, and they've got a strategy for fundraising, as you all know. But just need something just to get things moving. So I think I'm going to be pursuing a $1 million grant from the Capital Endowment Fund. So there you go. So that's where I've been heading.
Some of this is, sorry, we were looking at me, I was looking at you.
Board members, if you look at your agenda, I also put some attachments on the end of the agenda about rates comparison.
Yeah.
Also, the consultation questions if the board wish, and the piece of land that's surplus.
Cool. Which piece of land?
33 Britain.
It's in Littleton.
Oh,
Very steep piece of land.
There's a surface land over here too.
So if we dispose of the land, does the money come back to us? Kind of, I mean, it just goes in the fund, yeah.
It's no
The
jam.
consolidated fund.
That's
No,
right.
Jam, I did ask about
We don't
that.
have jam jar.
Can I just bring it back to the antisocial road one? That was like item 2 or something in there. Are we still carrying on those discussions on it, on the smart poles, or is it something in the process? Yeah, it was like item 2.
Oh, he's back in the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I mean, while we're searching, I thought I'd ask. Yes,
Yes, what date was that?
like 7th Feb, I think. Just like right up the top somewhere.
Start October, thank you.
Back on time. One plane. It's at the beginning.
Oh, I
Just
see,
saw it
impact
somewhere.
funding,
Yeah.
the drafting. The board officials after hearing from the police today.
Yeah, because I mean, they talked about no, they didn't, but we've had ongoing discussions about the smart poles and now they've got those early fire detection and we talked about whether installing, an extra camera for that sort of stuff.
Andrea, when can we have to answer that?
Yeah.
Well, Tyrone, you were at the meeting, weren't you, that the community held with us and with Vanessa?
Yep.
Yes.
There was, at the moment, they're waiting because they're waiting to see what's happening with the proposed law change.
Yeah.
There was talk about possible installation of automatic number plate recognition
Yes.
cameras. Rather than necessarily the smart.
Okay,
ones,
right,
just those number plate recognition cameras.
So it was coming more from them than from,
Well,
No,
that was coming from the
Pātaka,
community,
yeah.
the idea around.
That's
the camera.
right.
Um,
But them-
there was discussion with our transport people that could be a possibility if there's funding. They happily install them if there's funding, so that might be something that you want to include here, given that it is in your board. Do you
I
prefer
think
anything
so,
else,
yes.
Tyrone?
No, I mean, that's
Yeah.
summary. But it's just kind of been dragging on for a while, that
Yeah.
particular thing, so. I mean, I personally think it's just cops and patrol cars is the best thing that we can do there, but that's whatever we can do. Yeah.
So we could, strategically, what you could do is put it in the presentation about had a visit from the.
An update, yeah.
And then this is some of the things, because then it turns council's mind when you do the annual plan submission, we could include this in, so that it's already been highlighted to them. Yeah.
I've got a question. Can you explain it, tell me a bit more about trade waste? So.
Wait a minute, sorry, Es.
Oh, okay,
The consultation
consultation book,
question.
sorry,
Thank
yeah.
you. I just,
Yeah.
just a minute.
Um,
Can we deal with the Christchurch Cathedral first?
yes, yeah, fine, yeah.
So, does the board have any comments on the Christchurch, and yes, it does have a gap between Christ and church for that.
So where's the funding at now? I was reading bounced around. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I think the public feeling is against putting ratepayers' money into making that any more than just a memorial or something simpler.
We've got $6 million tagged to it, though, not
Yeah,
even has to be spent on that at this stage.
Okay, fine. We'll make a lovely memorial.
But it's asking about whether we are happy for it to cease, is that correct? Cease the collection.
The collection of it.
Because if there's no project.
Oh, it's a
moving forward
targeted,
other than
it's targeted right now.
the
Is that correct?
I understand.
Targeted right.
I'm not going to say anything.
No, fair enough.
Repeat to the question.
Yes.
I mean, I've got one.
So if the board decide they would like to still collect the targeted rate from our ratepayers, then the rates increase will be 0.14. It's just letting you know that there is that there. So does the board support the it's always just a deferral of the targeted rates, because they could come back.
It doesn't seem to make sense to me, but this is just from Wairua and then representing who I do to take money for something that has been paused or deferred. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
I feel the same.
Yeah, I think so, especially if there is no clear planning from the council side. So down the line, the council has got a proposal that is, everyone loves it, then they can reinstate that rate again.
It's not council planning, that's the planning.
Yeah, yes, so that's what I meant, yeah.
Sorry.
So, so at the moment, if there is nothing, then I think, it would be, especially given times, economic times. money doesn't need to go there, so.
Did anybody have any strong feelings the other way? No, okay.
Knowing that it could recommence.
Yes,
So in our submission, do we say we support or don't support? Is that, I'm looking for a
That we
comment.
support pausing the collection
yeah,
of the
Yes.
targeted rate
Thank you.
in these economic times.
We've only really got 5 minutes left.
Okay, we're going to fast.
Really good.
so, and what is this proposal about trade list?
You needed to read the drafting plan.
Oh, so it wasn't there.
No, yeah, I didn't give it to him, sorry,
So we can go into that.
Yeah, okay.
but I
Reply.
thought that
We can't say in here or there, can't we?
Yeah,
that's right, that's
Okay.
not a.
It's not, yeah.
okay.
Neither here
I
nor
have
there.
It's
no
the
problem.
increase of, I think there's an increase in, fees.
Yeah, I support that, yeah. Council, I think, all
You don't need
councils,
to sorry, Bobby, you don't need to comment on every question. You don't.
No.
need to have it.
No, so we don't need to comment on the ones we don't necessarily support.
No, so do you want to comment on trade waste?
yeah, I did, work on trade waste a couple of years ago, for a client. In New Zealand, there hasn't been a significant increase in the waste fees for almost 2 decades. So I think it's a good time. And 33% of building material goes to waste. That is statistics.
Well, I have the board agreed not to make any comment on the trade waste question.
Yeah.
Rates and borrowing. You want to make a comment?
It's very hard
Because
to,
the council's increasing their borrowing, the rates.
well, I don't
Down.
think do that to soften it,
Yeah, they,
but they're not borrowing off the Chinese, it's okay.
I'm not saying any, nodding at
no, I
you.
think, yeah.
So I thought the next, the climate resilience fund would be of interest to the board.
Definitely.
Climate resilience fund, well, I mean, as far as coastal hazard adaptation plan, I see that's a good step right there, potentially, coastal hazard adaptation plan. And for making sure that that goes, we want it to go further around the peninsula.
That's right.
That's the plan, isn't it, Tim?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that was
Sure.
submission for the long-term
Yeah,
plan.
but the question is, how do you think the fund will work?
The dedicated, not,
Okay.
it's not
Dedicated
dedicated operational,
Um,
money for the stuff.
How do they mean, how
So,
will it work?
Did
Where
it-
will be spent? What will be spent on this
Okay.
area? It will be- Okay, so
It's
it's not
not
operational.
being spent at the moment, it's been collected. I understand, isn't it, Tyrone?
Okay, so is it,
The climate resilience fund, there's just money being collected at the moment, we haven't got a policy on how to spend it.
No, it's just, yeah, we
Is it-
just agree to collect it.
Yeah, but now they're asking us how to spend it.
Yeah, so it's the same fund that the board agreed to bring forward in the annual, long-term plan from 2027 onward, they were going to collect council. So board submitted to bring that forward. So now the money is being collected, being asked, how do we spend? So I would like to see, based on the recommendations of respective boards, there are various projects that we would like that fund to be spent on, for example, climate change adaptation plan for other bays and Echo Harbor.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
well, that's what we said, that's what we said.
can we go back to it also, because this covered in our community board plan?
Yeah.
That we prioritise proactive planning, for climate change in our communities. Encourage community-led resilience planning, ecological initiatives, native planting and actively engage with coastal hazard for that.
It's one of the key things out of your priorities.
Yeah.
that Match council wants to do. So,
Yeah. yeah, it does, thank you.
What I would add to that is that only one part of the city of Christchurch has had any meaningful consultation and analysis on the impacts of
Climate.
privately and coastal assets. It's obviously other and Port Levy. Now, probably about 50% of the oral submissions on coastal assets adaptation. Stuff that we had at council were about Wharf Road and Port Levy. So I'll leave that up to the board to decide where the priorities are, but in terms of around here, I mean, we obviously know there are vulnerabilities, but we just don't have any meaningful data to go with it at this point in time, so.
I guess understanding the need, understanding where our.
Right, so we need more meaningful data. To emphasise these areas.
I couldn't possibly comment if we were able to do a review of the Akaroa Harbour, much like we've done Littleton Harbour.
Yeah. No, thank you
You've
for that,
already
yeah.
highlighted earlier on in our discussions about the marine structures.
Yeah.
And of course, we need to take into account coastal, the chat, when we're renewing those marine structures as well. And they are for resilience. So we could put an example in there, marine structures.
Yeah.
Even though they are. They're very important for our even.
It'd be lovely to have an audit of the marine structures, an actual audit. Yes. Like we have with our facilities.
I think they've had an audit that's how they've come up with their priorities for the next 3 years. That's, I can answer.
And in addition to that was when we talked about Pigeon Bay erosion of the road, and I think that we put a similar.
The cane's got a big issue too.
I think yes.
So I'll mention the board plan about how we think priorities would be used for the climate resilience fund. The next one is the Air Force Museum.
This is very interesting on the back of the comments that Tyrone made about the Littleton Museum. So that grant, is that coming out of ratepayers or is it coming out of they're talking of a grant here from ratepayers?
It would be a grant from the ratepayers.
Yeah, but you
I think it's $5 million.
Yes, towards the extension of its site.
So is that coming out of the capital fund?
No.
It would be funded through rating.
Okay.
Yeah.
It has a.
So
I'm not against it, I'm just trying to understand it.
0.01 increase.
You're allowed to say you prefer something like that on Next Peninsula.
Well, that's right. If they're getting it, why can't Littleton get it?
Well, they're not necessarily getting it, they're asking us for our opinion. They're asking for your opinion on it.
Well, my opinion is that the museums on the Air Force museums are amazing. I absolutely, totally support it. I'm a bit like that though when it comes to that because I think the history and the heritage of the area, and particularly on the peninsula, is paramount and should have focus.
So on the one hand, you've got the Air Force Museum, which is in Wigram, asking for $5 million. And on the other hand, you've got a museum of Banks Peninsula heritage that doesn't exist in Littleton. So that's the choice that you have to make, and I couldn't possibly influence you on that.
But you did say that you were going to push for a grant of $1 million towards. You talked about an endowment fund. What is that endowment?
We've got a capital endowment fund like this.
Correct, it's capital.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't come out of the rates. So what do they want?
Signalling, you can still signal.
So what is the $5 million for the Air Force Museum, the county capital?
To build a big hangar for a plane.
That's a capital.
Yeah. Capital program.
But it wouldn't be coming out of the capital.
So it's not a rate fund.
It wouldn't be coming out, so the capital endowment fund's a thing over here.
Yes.
So the council grants various groups
Okay.
every now and again.
Yeah,
And
which
the
doesn't.
$5 million is just going to come out of your rates.
Yeah. Okay, so why can't that come out of the capital endowment? Because capital has a business,
quite big for
a business
it.
model, a business
You're getting
plan.
like what they want to know is do you support $5 million being collected for the extension of that museum from the rates? Is the question that they're asking. So you can say yes, you support, or no, you don't support, and you can also use it as an opportunity to say, and we actually would prefer this money to go to the Littleton Museum or Queen's Bay or whatever you can
you can use
Okay,
that.
good.
Yeah, I think-
Nodding around the table.
Hmm.
Do we want to do
Don't
that?
cut my mind and listen.
No, no, no. You're not going to hear me nodding everything.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the Wilson Museum is part of the Pātaka Peninsula story. That is a complete loop and it fits very well with what we're talking about with the Britomart, Takapaniki, the Cave Bay. They're all in a huge loop of information that is becoming more and more important nationally.
Yeah.
That story.
And I'm just going to add there that Air Force Museum has been very kind, along with the City Museum, to help keep some of the stuff from the Littleton Museum. So at the end of the day, the museums are fairly connected, so.
Okay.
If you're
It's,
very I'm better both of you.
Okay.
So, you know, respect
It's
that
great
too.
information, doesn't it?
Appreciate.
Nobody's doing
Yeah.
it, so.
So we
That's
could
right.
say,
So
that,
we could-
and we would
And-
also like
Yeah.
the similar,
Understand the value.
similar to be considered in terms of election.
Yeah.
The final question, board members, is about the disposal of council owned properties, and the one we have in Middleton is 32 Britnell Terrace, so, I didn't hear any, no, don't dispose of it around the table.
I think
It's not suitable for a dog park.
Well, I just,
It's nice.
ask a question on that, just, may I?
Never.
You can ask a question.
To it.
You can ask a question.
Okay.
So that's capital value of 28. I always thought that was a reserve, so obviously it's fee simple,
Yes.
right? And $28,000 capital value for 850
There's no
square
council or
meters.
anything sitting on it.
But still, it's 850 squares.
Yeah.
It's hard, if you've got it.
That's that doesn't feel right.
Mm.
Would that be what council is disposing of?
Is it?
They have to
is
pay
it
rates on it, don't they?
Is it rates owned by council will dispose of it down at rate?
Right,
And they'll
Right.
probably first, usually they first ask the adjoining neighbours if
Yeah.
they want to purchase the property.
Yeah, I would have thought.
And
Murray Hill.
then it will go out to the market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's messy, problem. It's not going to be an income source, is it? Really, it's just getting rid of rates and all that.
There's no big objections at this point.
I mean, you need to maintain it, and it's got a, as you can see by the Google picture, it's got a retaining wall and it's right above the,
Am I right? So it's redlined from the estimates, is it? And
I-
they have a house on it?
no, it's,
I think
Was it
it's
city?
re-signed.
it's never had a
No,
house.
it's not re-signed. It's
Never
not
had a
It was
re-signed.
just
Okay.
there. Okay.
Wrong information I got from
So
someone
it's
else.
wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
It looks like a reserve to me when I saw the picture.
You would think,
Yeah.
it's kind of,
Covered.
We haven't got plans for it, do we? Secret room?
We support the disposal.
Yeah.
Thank you, board members. Now, the other question
spot.
I'd like, at the next meeting on the 10th of March, we will be seeking the board's consideration of who can work with me to, on the annual plan and have the authority to submit it. Board members, as you'll remember, usually we start doing a draft submission out, it goes round the board and there's lots of comments and ads and things, but I actually need two people to work through those comments with me and work out who will now push the button and say it can be submitted. So,
We'll think about that, is it what you want us
That's
to?
a very
say?
interesting.
yes. The submissions committee used to have the chair and the deputy chair and the chair of the committee. The chair, the board chair or deputy chair and the chair of the committee is the authorities to authorise over. I'm getting.
Minister, you cover everything you need to go away and do that.
Well, there's a lot of questions and answers. We've only got to the 29th of March, so we've got a month. Yes, I don't see a lot the board is asking, what's more information and highlighting.
Is that okay though, that we're not asking, but we want to
Yeah,
just.
this is not doing our job.
Council executive,
Yeah.
Their project, it's not new money.
No, no, that's the thing, isn't it?
It's not new money.
Just
And in
moving
this
the chairs on the deck.
And as the board has highlighted before, the second night times.
Yep.
We do not want to put include on the rates.
But we also don't want it to go on.
So we want to push what our priorities are.
And I feel the capital program is about right with the walls, the marine structures. And, toilets.
I need to just restate your support for things that are already in there.
Yes, we want.
Absolutely, and thank you for, you know, the particular one.
Yes, and yes,
These are very important, right? Yeah.
we could highlight, one thing I was thinking about is mentioning that we have put forward projects for the tourism infrastructure fund to
Yeah.
staff to be prepared to apply. And that's showing council that we are trying to save something, or, you know, find money. other
Yeah.
places elsewhere.
Hold on, yeah,
Oh.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, oh yes, we're going to finish with the code here, it's you. When you're here, when you're here, when you're here.
Thank you.